So for this project, I started with an old plate that I had picked up at a garage sale. It was a real pretty plate that had hearts around the outside, but it had quite a bit of damage, and I was able to save 6, almost 7 hearts there. It was really a neat plate. It had probably a dozen hearts around the outside. So all I was able to save was this, and I thought I would hold on to those. Maybe I can make something later with it. But for now, I just used the center of it and smashed it up with a hammer and cut it up with my nippers and made it into small pieces and then loaded it into the tumbler. And this had a little bit of grit left in the bottom of it. I didn't put any additional grit into it because this was all hand painted. The back of it said hand painted in Portugal, and I was afraid if I put any more grit in it that because the painting was so delicate that it would take it all off. So I tumbled it for 4 hours, checked it, and then tumbled it for the night. So it took a total of 10 hours, and then I took it out. Tumbling pottery is different than tumbling glass. You can tumble glass for 1-2 weeks and it won't hurt it. It'll just make it smoother. But with pottery, you have to be really careful of the paint on it because the paint is what comes off first. And pottery rounds off a lot faster than glass does. Then I took an 8x8 canvas and drew a heart on it and took silicone caulk and outlined right on top of the heart I had drew. And then I took an old pearl necklace, or part of one, and set it right on top of the silicone to outline the heart. And then I took the pottery that I had tumbled, the glass plate, that was well rounded on the outsides, and just started putting it together like a puzzle. And of course I have this in fast motion, so I'm sure it took me at least 20 minutes to fit the pieces together the way I wanted them. Then I started searching through my jewelry and found a little, I think it was an earring that I took the back off. I love to use old jewelry in my projects. I find so many neat things at garage sales and thrift shops. And again, the best place to find any of this kind of stuff, the pottery, the glass, the jewelry, is at garage sales. And you know, some people want a lot of money, but you just keep on looking and you can really find some great deals. And then it was ready for resin. So for this project I used art resin. Art resin is a 1-to-1 ratio resin, 1 part resin to 1 part hardener. When I use resin, I wear gloves, I use a respirator. I do it I open the window. It's in your best interest to do it in a well ventilated area. So once you mix the resin, the 2 parts together, it looks clear. Then once you start mixing, it becomes cloudy. You're supposed to mix it for about 3 minutes total, scraping the bottoms, scraping the side. The slower you mix it, the less bubbles you get. And then it'll turn clear again, which is an indication that it's mixed. And then you're ready to pour it on your project. When you're putting resin on a canvas, the canvas needs to be sitting up on a couple of cups. It cannot be sitting flat on the protective paper because the resin will drip down and it'll dry stuck to the paper and you'll have a big mess. So sometimes when I remember, I put tape on the back to catch the little drips. That way when it's done, I can pull the tape off. But of course, I forget to do it half of the time. So now I'm spreading it around on the canvas. You can use the spoon, you can use your finger. I like for the sides to be shiny also. Some people don't, and they just try to make it go right up to the edge, which can be difficult at times. But I really like the sides to be shiny. So you end up with bubbles, it seems, no matter what. And what you have to use is either a heat gun or a kitchen torch. And what I have is a kitchen torch. I also have a heat gun, and I used to use a heat gun, but I really prefer the kitchen torch now. It's just so much easier, and not so awkward. It does have a, long cord on it, and it ends up blowing the resin around, and if you have small pieces of glass, it'll blow the glass around, and this just seems to work best. So when your project is done, it needs to dry on a level surface at temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Most people will set a clear plastic container upside down over it to prevent any dust particles from getting in it. Okay, one more heart. Are you tired of them yet? So I think this turned out really cute too. And so when you're dealing with tumbling pottery, ceramics, porcelain, whatever it might be, that's painted, you really have to be careful. It's like with glass, when you're tumbling regular glass, you can leave it, for up to a week. I mean, you could even do it for 2 weeks. It would just be smoother and smoother. But with this, it's difficult because I've put it in and not checked it for like 24 hours and all the paint's off of it. So you really have to be careful. So you should really check it after 4 hours and then maybe after 8 hours. And you would typically have this in a smaller tumbler, so it will be easy to open up and then close back up and retumble. But and I love it when the sides are all smoothed out. Sometime I might try to do it with some grouting. That would be neat. But then you wouldn't be able to put resin over it then, because then, I mean, even after it dried, I would be worried that if you put resin over it and it was grouted, that the grout might get into the resin. It would make a big mess. But anyway, I thought that turned out cute. I love using the jewelry with the pottery, and I love the color of this. This is so pretty with the light pottery and then the dark background. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you like the video, hit the like button. It helps the channel. And if you want to see more videos or be notified of when one comes out, then subscribe. And have a great day.